Hello, my name is Damon Friedman, co-founder and president of SOF Missions. As a 20-year veteran within special operations, I've gone through many challenges due to my military service and time in combat. We felt called to start SOF Missions to serve our fellow brothers and sisters in arms, focusing on suicide prevention and resiliency. Our mission at SOF Missions is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient. Since 2011, when we started the organization, almost 3 million men and women have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the scars of war take a toll on their psychological, physical, social, and spiritual health. Many veterans feel a sense of hopelessness and a loss of purpose when they return to civilian life. They feel isolated and alone, unable to reconnect. And in the greatest of tragedies, over 20 veterans lose all hope and take their own lives. Our goal at SOF Missions is to provide veterans the tools and resources so that they don't become a statistic. We offer a unique approach to combating veteran suicide through a whole health intradisciplinary model. The Be Resilient program is a 4-pillar methodology that addresses the areas of psychological, physical, social, and spiritual wellness. We provide care through 3 delivery methods: medical clinics, retreats, and educational training. Since we started back in 2011, we have been able to reach veterans in all 50 states and have served over 3,000 veterans through the Be Resilient program. Being resilient is a multifaceted and complex issue. We know that to find a lasting solution, we have to address the whole warrior. Many challenges cannot be solved by providing the treatments and modalities of just one component, but by tackling them all. Now, we've expanded our services to include law enforcement and first responders. Together, we can make a lasting impact in the lives of warriors across the nation. To learn more, visit our website at sofmissions.org.
All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation. The Misfit Nation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the Thursday After Dinner show with the Misfit Nation. Thanks for taking your time today to hang out with us. We know you have other things you could be doing, but you chose us and continue to get those frequent flyer miles. Before we start tonight, we'll pay a little homage to 3 police officers who we've lost in the last week. Police Officer Philip C. Wagner, Lorain Police Department, Ohio, end of watch July 24th, 2025. Deputy Sheriff Elijah Ming, Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office, Kansas, end of watch July 26th, 2025. and police officer Didaro Islam, New York Police Department, New York, and the Watch, July 28th, 2025. Let's keep them in your thoughts, your prayers, their families, as well as this sudden change in life, and they move forward. So keep thinking about them and try to keep your community safe. Don't go right to guns. Let's talk things out and make things peaceful. Tonight we have a great guest. Well, we also have a guest host. He's a senior in high school, and I'm going to bring him in here. He's going to do a quick introduction of himself, and then we'll introduce our guest. So, Chris, welcome to the Misfit Nation, brother.
Hello, I am Chris Vector, and I'm basically trying to get into the United States Air Force Academy.
What brings you to the Misfit Nation, though?
I'm basically here to kind of learn what I should do to get into the Air Force Academy and improve my Air Force Academy essay.
There we go. Our next guest is a U.S. Army veteran, and he's the founder of Marketer on the Run. He's out of Las Vegas. It's probably dry heat there. It's wet heat here. So it's combined. We're going to make a little tornado here tonight. We'll bring in Remso now to talk about him. Welcome, Remso.
Rich, Chris, pleasure to be here with you both. Yeah, I've been here since April, and everyone keeps saying that I'm just gonna, set on fire each time I walk outside. The temperature is hella hot usually, but I just spent the last 4 years out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where it was like 8 months of darkness and constant threat of you can't walk outside because of the snow. So I'll take the heat any day of the week.
I'm sure those first days were probably a little a shock and awe to you going from Milwaukee to there.
It was definitely one of those moments where I looked at my wife and I'm like, maybe we made a mistake. We already got everything unpacked, so we'll just have to work with it. But no, it's been nice out here. It's a nice dry heat, so you go outside, you get some sun. It's not for a lot of people, but I'm digging it so far.
Outstanding, Remso. I basically gave a 2-sentence introduction of you. Please go as deep as you want to go, as far back as you want to go, to how we got here.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and start in the middle, and then we'll work our way back to the front. About a year and a half ago, I found myself in a position where I was really worried about what I was going to do with my career. In 5 years, I had 5 jobs, and it was for many reasons I kept jumping. Some of it was because of the pandemic. Some of it was because of just not enjoying the workplace I was in. The rest of it was corporate buyouts. And by the time I got to the very end of it, 2 things became clear. One, I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and I enjoyed being a marketer, but it wasn't something where I was like, am I going to be able to just go back into the same work environment I was in? And secondly, working in the marketing field, I wasn't really happy if a lot of the service that other agencies, other companies were providing to clients. I feel that, especially during the lockdowns of 2020, marketers really took advantage of a lot of small to mid-sized businesses throughout the United States of America. So 2 in 5 businesses that closed down for 2 weeks in 2020 never opened back up. And throughout the course of 2020 through 2021, half of all small businesses in America that shut down during that period ended up shutting down completely. Don't know if the numbers make sense on that. Kind of just shot them out there. But, the first couple months were really harsh. And then the year to come, it got even worse. So, what I try and do right now is I try and meet entrepreneurs and businesses where they are and help them succeed through better marketing and advertising capabilities. But why did I choose to go ahead and start this agency? As you mentioned, I went ahead and served 8 years in the National Guard, did 2 years in Alabama, moved back to Virginia, finished off in the Virginia Army National Guard. And, I was a stateside citizen soldier, was activated for earthquakes, hurricanes, lots of riots the last couple of years of my career. And it was a changing period because when I went in 2013, President Obama was in and we had the sequestrations, and the role of our military was really reflected because we were going ahead and we were drawing down the active duty, but we were putting more responsibility on the reserves and the Guard. So, it became this strange question as to what am I going to do? Do I go active duty or do I stay a guardsman? Ultimately, I wanted to go ahead and serve my country, but I also wanted to go ahead and fulfill my career. So luckily, the Guard was able to provide me that opportunity, still be a citizen soldier, but pursue my civilian job. And, it's one of those situations where as we look at recruitment numbers today, the last 7 months have been the best months that we've had in a very long time in terms of recruitment across the board. We're getting a lot of really great men and women who are joining our country because they want to go ahead and serve country first. But, it's one of those situations where I feel like my time in the service, as well as my time in the private sector, in the nonprofit sector as well, it prepared me to be a citizen leader. George Washington said to the servicemen that he served with after the Revolutionary War, go out and be good citizens. Go take advantage and build the country that you help preserve. And that's how I look at my role. As an officer, I remember having to take care of my junior enlisted and the other folks to make sure that we could get our mission done, we could get done effectively, and that everyone is good to go home at the end of the day. I try and do that with my clients. You've come on, you've boarded me on your mission. We're going to make sure that it gets done. We're going to make sure that we target the results, and I'm with you every sense of the way. So that's a long, truncated version of my journey. There's a lot of, deep, weird ends that kind of goes in. But, if you had told me even 5 years ago that I'd be running a 16-person agency out of freaking Vegas of all places, I wouldn't have believed you. It's wild. I mean, I was just thinking, you ever have those days where it's like you wake up and you don't really remember where you are? I literally thought I was in Wisconsin this morning because I'm lazy. I never reset my Alexa, little NSA spying device. So it'll go ahead and say something like the temperature in Milwaukee, Wisconsin is blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, well, was everything a fever dream? And now I'm here just trying to do the best I can.
That's outstanding. You said you were in Alabama and Virginia in the Guard. Are you originally from Alabama to begin with, or were you just there by happenstance?
No, I was, I was a son of a career active Army intel guy, and I wanted to go to VMI. VMI went ahead and said, you're too dumb. So I went ahead and said, okay, there's got to be other options out there. So there was a really great opportunity through the early commissioning program at Marion Military Institute, Marion, Alabama. So it was, it was an accelerated Army ROTC program. So graduated high school. At the time, they called it LTC. Now it's called Basic Camp, which was its original name. So went to Basic Camp, came back, did my MS3 year, did a simultaneous service program. So I was dual enlisted in the Alabama Guard. Sophomore year, completed LDAC, which is now Advanced Camp. Did my MS4 year. And then when I was 20, I went ahead and commissioned in the infantry. So at that point, to be an officer, you still have to have your 4-year degree. So it was in kind of a weird situation because I'm a 20-year-old officer, have not completed my bachelor's, but I'm going and serving in a platoon for the 29th Infantry Division back in Virginia, Lynchburg, Virginia. So it was definitely interesting. I was a young officer. I wasn't even old enough to drink, which was funny. But it was a good time. So served from 2015 through January of 2021. I got out the day that my unit was sent to the Capitol in mid-January of 2021. And just from there, it was like, okay, what do I want to do with the rest of my time? Because now I don't have, at the time, well, there's a whole weird story about that. I don't know how weird you want to go, but I didn't have a job and I was finally out of the Guard. So I was like, I have no money. Like, what am I going to do? And eventually that's how I ended up in Wisconsin from Virginia. I took a job at a nonprofit as the marketing manager there. But Alabama was fun. Lots of nights in Tuscaloosa I don't remember. Some in Birmingham I do. And because I eventually got a car, I did the smart thing and I went to Knoxville on 3-day weekends. So it's a fun time.
There, good rides across the 3 major college cities. So UAB, Alabama, and then you went to UT area. So
Alabama's kind of like prison because you immediately have to choose which gang you want to be a part of. So it was either War Eagle or Crimson Tide. And I'm like, which one is yelling at me more? Because I want them to stop. So immediately it became Roll Tide Roll. But then I look at my friends from Auburn, I'd be like, I think you guys are better. But you can't say it out loud because they'll shank you. So, you had to go ahead and rep the colors. But, Nick Saban all the way.
When I was stationed there, that was the first question they asked me. It was just me, my colonel, and then 300 civilians. And they said, who's your football team? I said, Notre Dame. They said, no, who's your football team? I said, Notre Dame. Well, Alabama or Auburn as well. Well, Notre Dame, and then I guess I'll have to pick 1 years later.
That's how it is sometimes. You can make a friend immediately, or you can make an enemy for life just based off of that. My recruiter, Sergeant First Class Brust, he still Facebook friends to this day. Good guy, I remember. Big Alabama fan. And I mean, he was just one of those good old boys that was just like, roll tide, roll, blitz, Bama, blitz, all the taglines. And I'm just like, are you even speaking English, man? Like, what's going on here?
That's outstanding. Then you started. What gave you the idea to become a marketing business entrepreneur? Because that's a big curve from being an infantry officer and then working as basically an executive director for the nonprofit in Wisconsin, and then moving out now here in a better weather area, I guess, drier area, but it's a little better.
I quickly realized that when you're young, you don't really think about things like how you want to pay bills or how you're going to be able to keep things going. So, like I was making pretty good money for a college kid because I got my ROTC stipend, and then you go ahead and you get paid for your drill time. So I was making 12 years ago, like maybe like $500 a month, which for me, I was like, I'm rolling in it. Like I'm doing really good. Later you find out like that's not going to help kind of carry you. But I made the decision after advanced camp. I went from advanced camp and I went back, had a bunch of guard duty. And I just remember it was like, months and months and months of me just in uniform. And I was like, I like this. I chose to do this, but like, I don't want to do this every day. And I had already been leaning towards the guard because I wanted to return back to Virginia where my family was. And that's just what I wanted to do. I wanted the flexibility of being a part-time soldier. So at that point, I realized, okay, if I do this, I have to get a job. Initially, I wanted to go ahead and be a white paper pusher. I wanted to be a policy analyst in Washington, D.C. Later, find out that makes money. Like your dumbest crackhead in DC gets you more money than being the guy that reads all the bills that the politicians don't. So quickly I was like, okay, I got to follow the triangle. If I don't succeed in politics, go into media. So for years, I thought I wanted to be a reporter. I was a sting reporter. I was a paid columnist eventually. And then quickly I realized that I'm still living in my parents' house. So all my friends, back at my unit were like, LT, you really don't have a job, do you? And I'm like, I do. I'm just getting there. Calm down. Don't look at me. Look away. So at that point, I'm like, okay, this is working, but it's not working fast enough. And I had a girlfriend that wanted to get married. She's like, clock's ticking, bro. And I was just like, we got to just make this work. So I sat down with a mentor of mine about 3-4 years after trying the journalism route. And I was just like, what gives, man? Like, what am I not doing right? And he was like, Remso, you're not that great of a reporter. And I was like, well, screw you. Chris is here, or else I'd say something else. I was like, screw you, man. And he was like, no, but you know what you're really good at? You get all these contracts and you get all this stuff because you're good at building a presence online. And I know that, you were building websites and managing social media accounts, which I was because that brought in extra money. And at that point, I was like, well, yeah, you got to do it because they only care about whether you can bring eyes on their stories, on their website and stuff. So he was like, get into social media management and then get back to me. So I did that for a little bit, took a couple more internships to still try out the politics route. Didn't really work. Eventually, one of my bosses emailed me out of the blue and he was like, do you want to get a job at the Washington Times? And I was just like, sure, man. Like, I'll take anything. The Washington Times needed a social media coordinator. I lived about 45 minutes away. So I go in and within a year, I was running the social media content for the entire newspaper, built their Instagram page from like 2,000 and no posts in a year to 29,000, being one of the top fastest growing media platforms in the country. And I went ahead and brought in traffic like they had not seen before on any of their accounts, especially direct traffic to the website where we were putting up a paywall to build a subscription model. So that was really big. And I found this site called Parler. Well, Parler was a up and coming social media app, and I went ahead and grew that from 0 to 300,000 followers by working with their team because we were the only media outlet they're taken seriously. And, around July of 2020, I remember it because the anniversary press release came up on my Facebook memories. Like, remember this? And I was like, yeah, I remember that. Dan Bongino, now deputy director of the FBI, and former Parler CEO John Mates reached out to me and they said, "How about you become our director of outreach?" And I was like, "Let me think about it. Do I make more money?" And they said, "Yes." So I said, "Okay, we're good." So I was the direct report to CEO John Mates, had direct line helping Dan Bongino onboard politicians, celebrities, public figures. Did that for about 5 months. But the thing is that when you go ahead and get a lot of important people in somewhere, especially in the political realm, you get a lot of people you shouldn't. So we let some people in that were doing some pretty not so great stuff. Dan was working on his show. Our CEO was trying to build the product, and there were people inside that were trying to do some not so legal things, so to speak, such as splitting stock options without going through the board or anything. So I go ahead and bring this up before we're about to do an investors meeting, and they're like, "Remso, how much do you want to leave?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "How much do you want to leave?" And quickly I realized this is kind of screwy. So I got laid off on my birthday. They wrote me a severance check. Bongino didn't know. A bunch of the other people didn't know, but they went ahead and made sure I was out the door. Wild stuff. So on January 6th, 2021, I am at home in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm saying this for the FBI agents watching. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't include this in the bio.
Yes.
I'm at home. I'm at home in Fairfax, Virginia, in my parents' basement, in my boxers, eating Doritos, watching Fast and Furious 5. And I have a bunch of friends who, and colleagues and just people I ran into who were in the political realm who went ahead and went to that get together. And the rest got really weird after that. So anyway, I've got reporters in the FBI and a bunch of other people kind of like watching me for a little while. And I'm just like, this is really getting kind of uncomfortable, guys. So I call my lawyer, shout out Matt Chris, attorney at law, Alexandria, Virginia. And I'm like, "Matt, it's like getting kind of weird. I'm about to get discharged from the National Guard. It was a medical discharge that I had already planned and stuff with my unit and everything. So I'm going to go, get my discharge over with. So not only am I out of a job, but now I'm also leaving the Guard. And by the way, the company I was working at, they never told anyone that they got rid of me. So I'm getting everyone calling me because the FBI went ahead and accused Parler of a whole bunch of weird stuff. And at that point, Joe Biden came in and he wasn't really there. I mean, physically he was there, spiritually, mentally, that's a whole other thing. But like the Democrats go ahead and take control and they go ahead and stack the oversight and reform committee, and they start going after all the ways that they could raise money. So they went ahead and we're going to take everyone from Parler that worked at that company and we're going to bring them here and we're going to subpoena them. And I'm just like, bro, like I'm having a really rough time right now. I don't need this in my life. Because if you go there, they make it look like a trial, but it's all for show. All politics is play, no matter who it is. Like, it's all fake. It's all fake. And I'm like, dude, they're going to go ahead and make me look like the second coming of the Antichrist or something. So he told me, "Remso, they can only bring you in if they subpoena you. And they can only subpoena you if they physically give you that." So I was like, "Matt, what are you telling me?" He's like, "I think you should go on a long vacation and go to a lot of different places." And I was like, "What does that even mean, dude?" He's like, "Remso, run." So at that point, I find myself, crowd surfing across the Midwest and the South for a little while. And around April, I find myself, and this is funny, I found myself in a shack down by the river in North Carolina with one of my other Army buddies who had gotten out. And he was like, in his like, Timothy McVeigh era with the beard and all his conspiracy. So I'm just like, what is my life dealing with right now? Like, what's going on? To answer your question, I was moonlighting because one of the people I met through Parler was Ben Stein from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Chris, there's a movie called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You should watch it. Okay. Anyway, so Ben was really good to me. He kept me afloat by paying me to run his newsletter and going on his podcast. So I went ahead and worked with Ben Stein for 3 years. During that time, though, all my friends from the Washington Times who got screwed over because the Washington Times took the PPE loans, but then they cut employee salaries, but they didn't tell them that they had the money to do it. So they're all leaving for Fox Digital, and they're, watching what happened to me. And they're like, "Remso is one of the best marketers we ever worked with. He was always so good to us." So they went ahead and helped me get a job at a nonprofit in Wisconsin. And I'm like, is Wisconsin far away from DC? It is. So I took a job in Milwaukee, did that for a year. And then I left that to go work remotely again for a digital publication company. And while I'm still doing this, I'm still taking on some clients because people know me from writing for Ben Stein.
Right.
So at that point, I'm still taking on people. And I've always had a passion for small businesses, whether it was social media management or ads or graphic design. I just want to help people. And it was helping me, make up all the money I got from when I was living out of my Kia. But it was, it was a couple of years where I just kind of had to figure out like what is next. Cause that was a really traumatizing experience for me. I didn't have the guard. I didn't really have a job. I was in a brand new place. I just dealt with all this really weird stuff. And I'm having nightmares of Joe Biden like pulling me into Congress and stuff. And I'm like, you bastard, get away from me. And eventually when I knew I was going to, get kicked out of my job last year, I was just like, I need to be in a position where I can value my freedom, where I can control my finances, where I can work with my friends, where I can support my community, and where I'm in control of what I want to do. And I remember praying, I'm like, God, I know I've got some brain damage, but I think this is a pretty good idea. And my wife's backing me up because I'm the one that pays the bills. So I hope this works out. So we took out all the money that we had saved for a house. I used it to start a business. And I went and traveled in 7 states in 7 weeks, going to a bunch of marketing conferences to meet other agency owners. And then I had a client named, I won't say his name. Let's just say he's big in Republican fundraising. And he said, Remso, I need you to help me run communications for this campaign in Pennsylvania. It was in Pennsylvania. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and get out voters for Donald Trump who might not show up. So they're going to vote by mail. And I was like, man, if we fail at this, we're both out of work. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, shoot, dude, the last few years have been really weird for me. So I helped him do this, coordinating media, coordinating a bunch of our stuff to recruit door knockers. And then by, election day, I was like, oh, shoot, I have a job going forward and I can keep this business going. And over the last couple of years, a bunch of my friends who were, remotely politically not friends of Joe Biden were also kind of kicked to the curb because of their jobs. So I was like, guys, come work with me. Let's build something awesome and make some money. So in December, my wife was like, hey, screw this place. I don't like the cold. Let's move literally anywhere else. And I was like, I really like Las Vegas because I'm there a lot anyway for work. So that was basically a roundabout Monty Python way of describing the last 5 years of my life. But Chris, I hope that your association with me doesn't get you on an Academy blacklist. So this is that's about it. I think we can end the show there.
All right, I'm walking out. Hey, Chris, I know you have a question for Remso. You were
okay. How did the army affect your civilian life?
Wow, that's a great question, Chris. It came with a lot of positives and negatives. The positive is that, on Veterans Day, you get a free car wash at your local car wash station. Most of the time it was, I'm joking, man. It was great because it forced me to mature really fast. I wasn't ready to go into the real world out of high school, and I knew I wanted to serve. And when you have to quickly get thrown into adulthood, it forces you to look at the world better. It forces you to take more responsibility, more self-accountability more. And nothing teaches you what you don't know until some, 40-year-old NCO looks at his 20-year-old butter bar lieutenant and is like, the LT don't know. And trust me, I did not know. So what it did was it taught me how to be humble. It taught me how to relax in very stressful situations. I remember that I was in the talk during the Charlottesville riot in 2017, and that was really crazy. And you have to get tough really fast because no one's going to give you sympathy. So I look back and I think the Army I think the military as a whole, they stress the money, the college, the shitty TRICARE benefits. But what really benefits people is that you become a man. Yeah. And there's nothing else that can really prepare you for that. In terms of the challenges, I think the Bush and Obama era really kind of showed this, is that you can cut down the active military, but when you're deploying your guardsmen out to Qatar and all these other countries, but you're leaving them alone, you're leaving their states alone for like hurricanes and stuff, it really kind of stresses people out. And what was really difficult for me was there was a period between 2017 to 2018 where there was just a lot of stuff going on. There were these massive hurricanes in like Guam and Puerto Rico and Texas and Florida and stuff. And we were just like on state active duty all the time, and taking time off of your work, especially when you were trying to find a job. Like I was just trying to find a job. You should go ahead and start a job, and then immediately you're on state active duty for like days to weeks on end. It was really difficult. And people will say that they support the troops and they want veterans in the workplace, but ask any guardsman from the past 10 years, it was really tough. So I think in some cases I had really great civilian bosses that supported me. In other cases, I actually had somebody, I went to my annual training for 2 weeks in Fort Pickett. I don't know what the new name is because I'm not woke, so I'll call it Fort Pickett, Virginia. And shout out to Fort Pickett. Hated that place. But anyway, I went off for my annual training. And when I came back, and I had it in writing, like I will be gone. Here are my orders. Here's my battalion commander letter and everything. I came back and they actually packed my desk up. And I was like, what's going on? And somebody had spread a rumor that I quit. So I show up to work and all my stuff is gone. I ended up quitting that internship like 2 weeks later. But, that was another example of like, life's not easy. And I see a lot of my civilian friends. I'm not saying they're not tough, but I'm saying like they cry when they get a paper cut. And I love them to death. But like, not a lot phases me. And that's not a flex. It's not, oh, nothing affects me. I've been sad. I've been upset. I felt like a victim. But at the end of the day, I have to show up and pay the bills. And no matter how bad it was in my civilian career, when Lieutenant Martinez showed up to drill, he had to be Lieutenant Martinez. And he had to fill out the op orders, and he had to get the S3 slide set up, even though they change it always right before you have to present to the company commander. And you have to make sure that the beans and bullets show up on time. And you have to then go ahead and discipline the E4 when he kicks another E4 out of a cot naked at like 4 a.m. Like you just have to deal with that stuff. And at the time, like I wasn't really grateful. I didn't really love it. But I look back now and I'm like, those were some of the best years of my life because I had purpose and because I mattered to people. And that's what I love about being an entrepreneur. That's what I love about being a business owner. And I don't think I would have the courage to take on the fights that I've had if it hadn't been for my time in the military.
Outstanding.
Would you recommend the military to kind of like help people trying to figure out like how to mature kind of?
Yeah. Man, listen, there are a lot of people out there that lick windows.
Yes.
And they just need some direction in life. And if you're like one of those people, you can go ahead and somebody is paid to tell you what to do. And what's great is that you are paid to be told what to do. But more seriously, I don't think a lot of young men and young ladies really know what they want when they're 18. And what I wanted when I was a young person to what I want now, I'm 30, it is very different. I'm a different person. And that doesn't mean I'm better or I'm worse. It just means that I feel more confident in the decisions I made because I've gone through the passages of time. But I think for a lot of people that just need to figure things out, the military is the best thing. And I think we've really downplayed the role of what it is to be a citizen. And I think we have a lot of people coming into this country who don't value that. And we have a lot of people born into this country that don't cherish that. And there's a responsibility we have to serve each other. And, when we started kind of looking away from that and it just became about the benefits and just became about all this other stuff, we really downplayed the role of what it is to be a citizen leader. And it doesn't matter whether you were, the guy in the kitchen, like, getting the DFAC ready, or whether you were a ranger, like you're all a citizen soldier, you're a servant leader. And I think if we had more people like that in our country, we'd have a lot less stupid people making decisions for us, my opinion. But I think if you need a couple years to figure stuff out, man, listen, there's some E6 who will tell you what to do all day.
He'll learn you.
So yeah,
They will learn you quickly.
they will learn you quickly.
So focusing kind of more on what you do for work, like you do marketing and that stuff. How would someone like market themselves?
To like
Market
build,
themselves how?
to build
Take
his brand.
To build a brand. So if you want to, let's take you for example, Chris. Let's get to know you a little bit. Do you do a JROTC or Civil Air Patrol or anything like that?
See, but
Huh?
I got back this year because
JRTC.
Okay. Well, when you're going ahead and you're getting your application set up, you want to go ahead and highlight your time in JROTC. You want to show whether you did the drill team or something else like that. You want to show your extracurriculars, whether you're doing track or football or something. I think community focused stuff is what the academies really focus on. But it's about showing that you have the ability to show up on time, do as you're told, and take leadership when necessary. Those sound like very basic things, but that's really what you're looking for. And that's what you're looking at in a job. Can this person show up on time? Can this person be prepared? And can this person take charge? So any leadership position, whether you're a shift manager at McDonald's or whether you were the battalion commander for your JROTC unit, it's hard to be in charge of other people. And if you're a young man or young woman who is in charge of other people and you can take responsibility for yourself or others, that really helps you stand out. How you are online is a big thing. What are you posting online? How do people think of you when they hear your name? Every day, how you carry yourself is a big thing. Like, it's the lost art of being able to be the person who you need to be when the time needs you to be. So when you're in business, it's letting people know how you're going to go ahead and help them with their challenges, how you're going to solve an immediate need for them. And how you share that is through talking about the people that have helped you and having them go ahead and give you testimonials. So that's a very vague and general way. I tried to really try and tie it to like an individual, a young person trying to come up. But really, it's how we carry ourselves. And most importantly, it's not just about branding. It's not just about marketing yourself. It's building reputation. What do people say about you when you're not in the room? That says more about you than anything.
Does that satisfy you, Chris?
Yes, it does.
Chris, why do you want to go in the Air Force?
I kind of want to serve, and
No, why the Air Force?
I want to fly aircraft.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Go Army.
Oh, I know. I have one of my coaches, called Coach Brian. He keeps like when I'm asking for help with my letter of recommendation and my Air Force Academy application essay. I keep hearing, okay, so West Point. You just keep telling me.
No, man, listen, Chris, I'm going to help you out right now. Okay. This is going to get you more girls. This is going to get you money faster. And you're going to have more stories because you're going to find out eventually the stories last. The women and the money don't, but the stories last. So there's probably this guy. He's an E6 or C7 over at your local mall in the Army recruiter office. Go to him. You're going to make his day. He's going to be your best friend. You're going to get a T-shirt and a backpack. And then you're going to go ahead and get a ticket to MEPS. MEPS isn't that fun, but the rest that comes later is a mixed bag. Go do that. Don't worry about anything else. You're young. Go have an adventure. Go have some fun. The academy is where all is for other people. Go have fun, Chris. Air Force has steaks and eggs, don't they? Who cares about the Air Force, man?
Chris is getting his pilot's license, his civilian pilot's license. Now he's
Yeah.
working on that as well. So that's why.
That's great, Chris. But you know what's really fun? Blowing things up. Now, you should look at the infantry. You get to shoot things. You get to blow things up. Apparently, sometimes you accidentally shoot a bird. Sometimes you accidentally blow up something you weren't supposed to. But at least you're shooting things and blowing things up. There is no other job outside of being a cop where you are paid by the civilian taxpayer to shoot things and blow things up. I was in the S3, okay? I was an S3 officer. I was a PowerPoint ninja, which makes you really good at business, apparently. But at least you get to blow things up.
And spreadsheets. Yes.
Yeah. Lots of spreadsheets. And you know what's fun? You're never doing the spreadsheets right. So you get to just do them over and over and over again.
That's true.
So at least do something where you blow things up.
Have fun doing it. Yes.
Have fun, Chris. Life is short. Life is full of very unhappy and harsh moments, but at least you get to do some cool stuff.
Definitely.
I'm not really selling it, am I, Rich?
I think he wants the Air Force, and I guess we have to sell him. He wants to serve, and that's a plus for me. As like you said earlier about our youth.
Chris, you're going to be in Colorado. Okay, assume you get exactly what you want, which is never what you want in the long run, exactly what you want. You're going to be in Colorado, and you're going to be in those shallow barracks having some 19-year-old yell at you. At least go somewhere where you're going to have some buddies, where you're going to have a great story to come out of it. Because just listen to me, Chris. If more people just listen to me, their lives would be a lot happier. Just go Army. Just throw all this Air Force stuff out. You just want to go Army. Our uniforms are cooler. Women like you more. Yeah, the divorce rate in the Air Force is way lower, but just go Army, okay? Just do it for the story. Have fun, blow some things up, get out later, and then you're going to be like, man, that guy on Rich's show who just wouldn't shut up, he gave me some really good advice.
Well, I mean, hey, stories can come from anything.
Yeah, there you go.
We got a question from the audience, Remso. This one is from Alex the Great. How has your military and professional background shaped your business mindset? Thanks, Alex the Great.
I've never met this guy, but I'm really happy that he sent this question. I just come out of a very difficult 5-year period in my life, as I mentioned. And in 2023, I had just gotten out of a very serious lawsuit with my brothers-in-law after my mother-in-law passed away. So not only was the company that I was working at getting bought out by another company, but all the money that I had earned working for like Ben Stein and all these really cool businesses and stuff when I was side hustling, working like 60 hours a week, all that went away. And I was married, living in a 1-bedroom apartment outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And when I eventually started forming my LLC, so at least for tax purposes, I could finally get this money coming out, so I'm not juggling a bunch of 1099 forms during tax season, I was still looking for jobs. Now, AI and all these other things and just issues with the economy because of Joe Biden, it was just not a great period. So I started my agency really full on, even during the first couple months with my hand behind my back, waiting for some other job to come pick me up. But very quickly, I realized that I have no option except the one right in front of me. In the military, as an officer, as a leader, no matter what your rank is, no matter what service you're in, except the Space Force, because they suck and no one knows what they do. You don't get to just say, I don't want to do this. You don't get to quit. You don't get to give up. There's only the way through. The obstacle in the way is the way. And I quickly realized that I had no option other than this has to succeed. So I just put all my effort into it. And I tell this to entrepreneurs all the time. You don't know what you're capable of until you have no good options in front of you. The entire time I was going through that period, I kept going back to moments of real success and real failure during my time as an officer. Because any soldier who's been around long enough will tell you that they really do really well sometimes, and then sometimes they really screw up. And it was those moments that really kept me moving, because when I was in uniform, failure was never the option. Losing was never the option. Whether you fail or whether you lose or whether you don't succeed at something, those are just the outcomes. But you can't go into it with your hand behind your back wondering if someone's going to come save you. Sometimes you're just out there by yourself. And I'll share one story from one of my first clients named Jason Stapleton. He used to do a podcast called the Jason Stapleton Program. big, entrepreneur coach and stuff like that now, big copywriter. So I was writing copy for his website and sales copy and blogs and stuff like that. And Jason came from a broken home, single mother living in Kansas City, joined Marine Corps, with MARSOC, got out of the Marine Corps right around 9/11, became a Blackwater contractor. And he told me around the time that he knew he wanted to get out of being a door kicking Blackwater guy, that he was in Baghdad and he was staying at one of like Saddam's guest homes inside the green zone, and that was designated for Blackwater. And what Jason was doing was he was on one of those supply convoys going between Taji and Baghdad just every night, over and over and over again. And he would do it all night, and then he'd get the day off, and then go back and work at night. So they worked on shifts. And there was this one guy who had just joined Blackwater, and he was just kind of weird. And you're going to meet a lot of weird people in the military. Not as many in the Air Force. All the weirdos are in the Army, but you'll meet them. But the guy was just kind of weird, and he's eating cereal, and Jason comes down, and Jason got an interest in politics. He starts watching the news, and he's asking this guy a bunch of questions. What do you think about this? What are your thoughts on that? Just trying to make conversation with the guy. And the guy is just not really paying attention, doesn't really want to talk. And Jason is like, hey, man, do you care about any of the stuff going on in the world? And the guy slams his spoon on the counter, and he says, hey, man, I don't care what happens. I don't care who's in charge. I don't care what the world is coming to. I'm a winner, and I'm going to survive, and I'm going to be okay. And then he went right back to eating his cereal. And Jason at the time was like, that guy's crazy. Later, they realized that there was actually a lot of wisdom in that. When he told me that story, my thought was, that dude is crazy. And then many years later, I'm the crazy guy starting a marketing business during the worst year for marketers post-COVID, thinking, I don't care how much money I'm losing. I don't care how many friends don't help me. I don't care how many clients that I lose because they're going out and collecting other bids from people. I don't care how many people tell me I can't do this. I'm a winner. I'm going to win. Did I believe that every day? Not really. But I told it to myself like I was a psychopath, because when you have no options, you figure it out. And when you lead with the mentality that you're not going to lose because you refuse to, what's the worst thing that can happen? You go back and get another job doing something else. Yep. Luckily, things worked out. Luckily, I believe I had God on my side. Luckily, I took on the right fights. I made the right decisions. And I do not believe that I could have done that had I not gone back to the harshest days I had as an officer. So to answer your question, full circle, it made me a better person. It made me a tougher person. I don't lose. I don't give up. I fight and I win.
There you go. Outstanding. Alex the Great. I hope that answers your question. And you talked about you're the podcaster there. A lot of us are podcasters. A lot of veterans are now podcasters out there. How do we market ourselves a lot better to get more reach out there?
One is you stay consistent and you don't stop, which is what you're great at, Rich. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. I wouldn't change anything. The big question that I always ask people is like, and there is no wrong answer. I want to preface this. Sometimes people are like, oh, there's a right and a wrong answer. There isn't a right or wrong answer. There's only the right or wrong answer for you. You have a lot of people that treat this stuff as a hobby, and then you have people that treat this as a job. And if you treat it as a hobby, you will get hobby results. If you treat it as an extra job, you will get job results. What I tell people was that I never made any money doing podcasting. However, every employer I ever had was a former podcast guest. When I wrote my book in 2018, I marketed it directly to my podcast audience. My book became a bestseller. It was endorsed by Ben Shapiro at the Daily Wire. Got a whole bunch of people to, leave remarks on the first page. Dallas Jenkins from the Chosen series, following the life of Christ and the disciples, endorsed my first book. Didn't make any money off the podcast, made money off the book. And Ben Stein was he was a Parler client who became a guest on my podcast, later became a customer of mine and a good friend for many years. So, I treated my podcast like it was the way I marketed myself, Chris, to answer your question a little bit more earlier. I marketed myself as a marketer, as a copywriter, and as a guy who knows about this stuff through my podcast. And I treated it seriously. I invested in the graphics when I didn't have cash. I invested in the music. I paid for advertisements. If you want it to be a fun hobby, that's great. Do that. If you want it to be something that can help grow you personally and professionally, treat it seriously. Because when you treat it good, it will treat you good.
Outstanding. Christian, any more questions?
I do not.
You sure? Hey, Remso,
Christian, do you want to go Army now?
he still has Air Force floating around his head. I can see it. I see Go Blue.
The Air Force doesn't love you. Okay. The Air Force doesn't love you. The Army loves you. The Army is the only thing that will love you
forever.
That's just it.
He has the Screaming Eagle right over his shoulder there, so he'll see it on the way out and he'll pat it on the way out, just like play like a champion today for Notre Dame. You'll hit the Air Force line on the way out. So Remso, as we hit the 50-minute mark here, we like to ask our guests two main questions. One, what's the best way to get in contact with you if any of my audience wants to have you on their shows, or if they just want to pick your brain a little?
Rich, and I just want to say thank you for the time and thank you for letting me rant sometimes. I know I sound like a madman when I don't stop, but everything comes from a very good place. And I believe what you're doing to help empower the veterans community is extremely commendable and honorable as a veteran yourself. And I just want to say that, I'm praying for your continued success, sir. So thank you for that. For me, go ahead and follow me on X at Hey Remso. I'm the only Remso there. And if you want to learn more about what my agency does and how we can help you in any stage of your business development, your nonprofit life, your startup, phase and all that stuff, go ahead and check us out, marketerontherun.com.
Awesome. And the website is in the chat. It's been in the chat about 3 times now. Just put the Twitter handle in there. And as we get to the hot seat questions for you, Remso. What's 3 things the Misfit Nation can do tomorrow to be better humans?
Man, you got me. Well, 3 things. The first thing is get up and immediately go look at yourself in the mirror and just breathe for a little bit. That sounds really weird, but I was really depressed in 2021 because my Army career was over and it was over prematurely. I wanted to serve longer, but I couldn't. And then I had also, I thought my career was at a dead end. So I had a memento mori prayer, and I would go and I would just breathe in front of the mirror because I would wake up and I was just afraid. I was afraid for years, honestly. I was afraid of all these horrible things. And it was just waking up was an overwhelmingly painful experience. And I would just wake up, and I still do it now, just wake up and just go to your bathroom and just breathe. I think if a lot more people start the day with a moment of clarity, and some people are, they go out and they exercise. And I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I do that. I'm not a morning person anymore. Army paid me to do that. You can't pay me to do that now. But whether you're going on a walk or whether you want to start with scripture, whether you just want, I even tell people, go look at your bank account. If you need a reason to get out of bed, go look at your bank account. I tell people, just wake up and breathe. Just breathe. I taped that prayer to my mirror. I brought it with me here to Vegas. It's still there. And I just breathe and I look at that. And I remember, not just that one day I will die, but every day I get to live. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I'm very thankful for that. The second thing is, as an old mentor of mine, Gary Collins, who's no longer with us, he had a book series called The Simple Life. He used to talk about your 3-legged stool, which is, personal freedom, health and wellness, and financial freedom. And every day I would have a goal for some of those. What am I going to do to improve my health? What am I going to do to improve my finances? What am I going to do to improve myself spiritually? I just ask those questions. It kind of comes in sequence after breathing in front of the mirror, but, ask those questions. So I ask those questions. It reminds me of why I do what I do after I have a moment of clarity. And the third thing I got, which I got through many years of therapy, was find something you're grateful about. I used to joke with some of my friends. I went to Liberty University, surprise for a lot of people. And, I was an LU grad, go Flames. And I used to tell people I only pray when things are bad. And That's not even a joke. Like, I only prayed when things were bad. And every day before I go to sleep, no matter how mad I am, no matter how sad I am, no matter how frustrated I am, I just try and take a moment for something I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for parents who are alive and healthy and active in my life. I'm thankful for a beautiful day. I'm thankful that my car didn't break down. I'm thankful I could pay my rent. I'm thankful I get to do great things and awesome things like go on the Misfit Nation show and talk to Chris, who's going to be a great Army officer. It's so easy to just become a victim and to just become so lost in your thoughts that you don't remember to be thankful that you get to live. And I think if we all took a moment just to find something that we're grateful for that day, you quickly realize that all your problems aren't that serious. The things that you think are so permanent and so scary today, you won't even remember from a year from now. So just taking a moment to be grateful. I think if we all did that, we'd all be a little bit better.
Outstanding. Chris, any final thoughts?
Not really.
Not really? Did you learn anything?
Chris, no one ever goes to a movie that's Air Force themed. Okay? It's Band of Brothers. It's name a single freaking movie. It's the Army and the Marines the Army had, what was that? What was it? John Wayne? Like the Army had John Wayne. The Army had Clint Eastwood. The Army had that guy from The Godfather. Like, all the cool kids are in the Army. Okay.
Did you get the message, Chris?
Yes.
Yes, he gets the message.
Listen, man, women might think that Air Force blues are cooler, but they go home with the guys in green at the end of the day, okay? That's just the truth. I know no one's going to say it because we live in a proper and civilized society, but it's Army, okay? Army is where the cool kids go. So just make the right decision. Just go to your recruiter. It's a lot easier. You don't even have to fill out paperwork. Well, I mean, you do at the beginning. You barely have to read. If you can read, you're great. If you can't read, the Marine Corps is right next door. Just go Army, okay? I'm making it simple for you.
I think it's all in his head right now. You're in his head, Remso. Thanks for doing that for him and clouding him up. And again, Remso, thank you for hanging out with us.
Rich. I try.
Thank you. You tried hard. I see that. Thanks for hanging out tonight, and thanks for sharing your story with us on the Misfit Nation. It's been outstanding.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Chris. Go Army.
Beat Navy. Here we go.
Beat Navy.
Misfit
My
Nation.
wife is a Navy brat. Do you know how awkward Army Navy games are now?
That'd be awesome.
We got to watch it in 2 separate rooms. And then she walks in and she's like, "So who won the game?" And I'm like, "Get out."
Obviously, you know.
Obviously.
You wouldn't come in here if you lost. But
yeah,
it's just how they are. Misfit Nation, thanks for taking some of your Thursday tonight to hang out with us. Remember, a day with you tomorrow is better than a day without. Keep pushing forward and stay in the light. Till next time, we'll see you Sunday. Have a great day. Have a great night.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.